The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why they actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations, that's forming a fun.
Good evening and welcome back to The Blueprint. I'm excited to be back with you guys. Let me tell you what I'm really excited about. I was a little down the other day, and let me say this first. You guys remember a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity, along with my wife, to be in the WABA Women's Basketball Championship. It was the Final Four. It was in Greensboro, North Carolina, and it was 4 finals teams in which the DC Cyclones won the championship and of the WABA. I was excited about that. My wife was the owner, and several of her teammates and her sister were owners of that particular team. And then I was also excited because Marsha Blunt, a Mount Vernon hometown girl, young lady, started the WABA after being the first African American woman to own a ABA, a men's professional basketball team. I mean, that was so exciting. And then now we jump right into the WNBA finals, and last year, I was so excited that the Las Vegas Aces, I was 100% in on them winning the championship. It would have been Asia Wilson's first championship. I really love Kelsey Plum. She's left-handed, one of the all-time leading scorers in NCAA women's basketball history, and even came close to breaking the record even for men. So I was 100% all in on the Aces winning the championship. I was particularly winning their first championship, right? And then all of a sudden this year came, we made some moves with the Liberty, right? And I was like, man, I'm going to be 100% all in with the Liberty. And then the other day, the last 2 games, man, I was like totally disappointed. And on my men's call on Wednesday night, we got one of my good friends on the call. He lives in South Carolina now, so he knows Asia Wilson. He's a season ticket holder, and all of a sudden he's like all in with the Aces. I was like, man, you from Mount Vernon, man. You from New York. You're supposed to be with the Liberty, man, because you from New York. And then the other gentleman, one of the pastors, he's with the Liberty too, man. So I got to hear it, man. They kept, we're going to get out the broom and we're going to sweep, and I was a little bit disappointed, but I kept saying to them over and over again. Something Dick Motta said of the Washington Bullets of the NBA a few years back when they were down like 3-1 or something like that, and in the championship, NBA championship. And he said, ain't over until the fat lady sing, right? The fat lady has not sung yet. And I believe that the Liberty won tonight, right? And it gave me hope. And I think that if we could get to one more on Wednesday, right? Because I want to see, number one, I want to see the Liberty win a WNBA championship, man. Just like I wanted the Aces last year, I wanted the Liberty to win the championship. And you know what? Man, somebody in New York got to win a championship, man. The Yankees ain't doing it. The Mets not doing it. The Knicks not doing it. The Rangers, Islanders, man, we come close. We don't even know Buffalo is in New York. But Buffalo is, in the NFL is the closest to winning a championship, right? And we don't even consider them New York, right? Hey, but if the Bills win, they're in New York. I want to let y'all know that now. But if the Liberty could win a championship, I would be so happy, right? And so I'm excited to be back tonight. Man, I want to say thank you guys for each and every week for your support of the Blueprint podcast. You guys tune in. Remember, this is interactive, so You can make comments, right? You can ask questions, and we'll do our best to answer every one of them. And if you get an opportunity, man, please go to Lowe's Motor Blueprint on Facebook and like us, and then on Lowe's Motor Blueprint on YouTube, right? Why don't you like us and also subscribe at the same time, man? So, but I want to say thank you, man. The last few shows, particularly the one last week dealing with the wheelchair. They was talking about the accidents, so how many accidents actually happen of wheelchair people drive, going crossing streets and getting hit by cars. I was so thankful for Dr. Helen Brown and her new technology, the crossing lights that she's experimenting with, the pattern, that she has, the project that she's doing, trying to bring awareness to how important it is for our disabled to actually get across the street. And we can't treat anybody any different. And because of that show last week, I literally got a text from my friend in South Carolina, because we was talking about diversity, and we were talking about discrimination, and it was crazy. I got a call and a text from one of my friends in South Carolina, because there was a young lady, right, who had made her cheerleading team, and she was disabled in a wheelchair, And then they made a decision. I mean, I guess the school had made a decision that they were going to release her from the team because she couldn't do the flips and all those different kind of things like that, which to me, if she made the team, that's discrimination. Right now, maybe she can't flip or any of those things, but you can pom, you can clap, you can cheer, you can do everything everybody else was doing out there, right? And to me, that's discrimination. I mean, and we have to fight for those who can't fight for themselves. And so I called Dr. Brown, and she jumped right on it. I mean, I called her up, texted her information, and they got a whole long list of things that they're fighting. And I hope that somewhere down the line, they'll be able to fight on behalf of this young lady out of South Carolina. So, yeah, great show last week. She was amazing. Man, I'm excited about this, about tonight as well. And I want to drop here go my pebble. It was a little basketball, right? I want to drop my pebble in the pond because I'm expecting a ripple effect tonight. And so let's get rolling. I want to start off with my book of the week. All right. It's called Inner Size, right? You probably don't know what that is. You should look it up, right? And many of as a professional athlete, as an athlete, period, most of the time, right, we always think from the physical part of us, right? Because we run, we jump, all those different kind of things, right? But we never think that the game could be mental as well, right? And so, but I was taught as a young man, around 10, 11 years old, that after you understand the game, after you're in shape, right, the game of basketball or in any sport is 99.9% mental. Most of the time, you can have the same physical attributes, the same physical talent, but the person who can think better, right, ultimately ends up winning, right? And so I've learned over the years how important my mind is and how important thinking is, right, and how important thoughts are, right, when it comes to not only playing sports, right, but just everything about you, right? Because we are spirit, we are mental, and we are physical, right? And they all need to be developed. And so I love this because I love this particular book. I've actually gotten through the first couple of chapters of it, where it's talking about how we think, right? And how we think could have a positive or a negative effect on us. So get this book right here. I mean, I think you're going to enjoy it. Either get the audio, listen to it in your car, or get the actual book. It's called Inner Size, right? And it's a deep book, but we don't think about how important our thoughts are and how important our mind is when it comes to our health. And then here's my word of the week. My word of the week is health, right? And this comes into a whole man, health in many ways. Not just, we think about the physical, right? But we got to think about our spiritual health. We got to think about our mental health, right? We got to think about the health of our relationships, the health of our careers. I don't know if you noticed or not, man. And when I retired, I've been going on a little 4 years now in retirement. And the interesting thing I learned about in my retirement was that how much stress I built up over 27 years, right? And I still believe 4 years later, I'm still detoxing from the 27 years or even more of stress and anxiety and tension and pressure, right? I still feel like in my body sometimes and in my mind, I'm still, because we work so hard and we deal with so much stuff, right? And while we're doing it, right, we never pause to take time for ourselves. We just keep running, right? But then when we retire, right, it takes a while to get detox from all the stuff that you went through to become successful, right? So I say be conscious of your health. This is a word I should have put. I'm going to use this word one day, but let me say this to you. Learn how to pause, right? Learn how to push the pause button, shut the telephone off, right? Cut the TV off. Learn how to spend time meditating and being quiet, right? Take care of you spiritually, mentally, and physically. I can tell you this will be the key to longevity. So my word of the week, health, right? And then here's my affirmation of the week. My Hill Harper and Pierce Harper affirmation and quote moment. It says, "Do not regret growing older. It is a privilege denied to many," right? Don't regret. And look up, oh man, I'm getting older. Nah, it's a privilege to get older. I mean, the other day, yesterday, I went over to help our Uncle Ernie, my wife's uncle. He's 90 years old, right? We helped him put up the television, right? A new television. We set up the television for him. Man, what a privilege to see somebody who's 90 years old with so much energy, right? I want to be him when I grow up, right? So it is a privilege to get older, right? And so many people have missed it, but don't miss yours, man. Get older. It's all right getting old, right? And then here's my music and movie of the week, right? Shalom, right? That's my music of the week. That's some meditation music. You ought to check that out, man. When you want to meditate, that's something to meditate on. It's instrumental, right? It's just nice. And then I went to see Gran Turismo. I guess it's Gran Turismo, right? It's a new movie that just came out, man. It is an actually true story about a young man that went from virtual playing this game to the actual driver, in a real race. I mean, it's a very intense, but check that out, man. It's on demand as well. So, and then my person of the week. All right. BB, I know BB, but CC Winings, right, is my person of the week, man. Can you do me a favor, man? Can you put in the chat your favorite, right? Your favorite CC Winans song, right? I think for me is Alabaster Box, right? I think that's one of my favorite. And if I had to say BB and CC, I think the one is Heaven, right? The two of them together is Heaven, right? And she's my person of the week, CC Winans. See, my wife even said Alabaster Box. Yeah, that one right there. If you want to meditate on something, you meditate on that one. right? So yeah, let's go. Let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling. We go so we can get. Yeah, I want to make it. There's a lot of stuff in the months. Last week we did suicide prevention. I think in September we did suicide prevention, and this month, and there's a lot of things in each month. There's a lot of awarenesses in each month, but breast cancer awareness is in this month, right? And hopefully my guest today, man, I'm sure we'll take a moment. I want to take a moment with her about some of the things that they may be doing or that we could do. And this is for not only we always assume that breast cancer only impacts women, right? I lost a good friend now a little over a year. He was a pastor out of Tampa, Florida, and he dealt with metastatic breast cancer for 4 years. And we didn't even know. I've never actually physically met Nate. I've never actually physically met him. But he was on my men's Bible study from Tampa, Florida. And we used to talk all the time. He had so much energy until one night he shared with us that he had breast cancer. And, he was on the call with us for about 2 or 3 years before he passed. And just before he passed, he really loved God and he loved people, man. He called people all the time. And so he was in for an examination and he asked the doctor, right? He asked the doctor if she had ever seen a miracle before. And she said, by the way, I did. And she said, when? She said, you, right? Because they never expected him to last 6 months, man. And Nate lasts like 6 years, right? And so men, even when I go to the doctor's always checking around on me as well, right? So, but this is an awareness. Breast cancer, be aware. Make sure you take your proper checkups, yearly exams, and you're gonna be good. So, and next, the King Movement, Westchester. I'm part of the King Movement National Organization. Chris Broussard, who's the president of the King Movement, 18 chapters across the country, men getting together, fellowshipping. We have on the 21st of October, we're at the Vernon Public Library, and we're showing the movie Selfie Dad. And we're hopefully, if you know any men that are interested in getting involved with the community, having an impact in the community, wanting to fellowship with other men of faith, send them over to the library on October the 21st at 1:00. All right. And then let's not forget, we've been reminding you for a few weeks now, my wife is becoming an assistant pastor. She's being installation service is on October the 28th at 12:00. Save the date, right? And man, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there. It's going to be an amazing day. And then we can't forget about the Revelators. One of the programs of the Boys and Girls Club, or I say collaborations and partnership with the Boys and Girls Club when I was there. They are doing the Wiz. Remember in the past, they did the Wiz with a twist. Now they're doing the Wiz. Bring that back up one more time. Doing the Wiz Saturday, November 18th and 19th, both at 5:00 at the Dole Center in Mount Vernon. I mean, we always say we want to support kids, right? Well, these young people are amazing, right? Don't say you want to support kids, but we have shows like this, events like this, and we never come out, right? So make sure you come out November 18th and 19th at 5:00 at the Dole Center. I want to say happy birthday to my brother Doug. 10-11. Yeah, he about to retire at the end of the month. He was active in the military. Then he started working for the military. And now he's finally going to retire, he says. That's yet to be seen. But I think he's tired. I think he wants to get on with the rest of his life. And, my other brother's retired. I'm retired. Now Doug going to be retired. Yeah, all of us going to be retired, man. Just we had to get together and, I ain't going fishing. I ain't retiring to go bowling, right? I'm going to do something else. But we're remembering Shirley Wallace, Mima, my mother-in-law. 10 years ago, she passed away. Truly miss. We miss her every day, right? Mima was a riot. She did so many crazy things. I don't have the time tonight to tell you some of the crazy stuff that she used to do, but she was an amazing woman, and we loved her dearly, and we miss her. So, yeah. All right. And on October the 22nd, we got Dr. K. Veronica Smith. She's the acting superintendent of the Mount Vernon School District. I'm looking forward to having a conversation. I'm big on education, right? And I want to see what's going on in our in our school district. I know she has some tremendous new exciting ideas, man, and I'm looking forward to hearing them. So join me next Sunday from 7 to 8:30, right? And we're gonna have just a good time. So I think that's it. I don't know if we have any more, but let's move on. I want to show you this video, and then I'm gonna introduce my guest for this evening.
This health center means so much in the community.
I like the way they treat people. It's a very welcoming environment.
They really cared for me as a person.
Simply put, it's a lifesaver.
Let's listen to your lungs. Take a deep breath in and out.
For 50 years, the Mount Vernon Neighborhood Health Center has been at the heart of this community.
So take a deep breath for me. Beautiful, okay.
Serving generations of families.
My mom was bringing me here from the day I was born, and I brought my children here.
How are you?
When I come here, I feel family, security. They let the nurse check you out. It's very comfortable, the atmosphere. The treatment that you get from every staff, it's wonderful.
Families just like Kimra Suarez's.
The health center is a foundation of family. It stands behind you with integrity and good health. So I know that I'm being treated fairly. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Five decades ago, the health center was the brainchild of devoted community activists, including David Ford and Carol Morris. Their goal from the beginning was, how do we make a difference?
We would not be here today had it not been for the visionaries who wanted a place within the community where patients would not be seen as a number, but rather as a person.
They believed healthcare was a fundamental human right and went about the hard work of building a facility whose core mission was providing preventive and primary health care to low-income and uninsured people in a community where there was nowhere else to turn for help.
Communities like this are disproportionately impacted with every and any medical condition that you can think of. And oftentimes, these are folks who don't have access to services, whether it be financial, transportation. They don't have access to the services. So it's vital that the service is brought to them in the community that is accessible and affordable.
You can say the health center had humble beginnings. In fact, when we opened our doors back in 1973, the accommodations were modest.
I can still recall, as a high school student, and I went to high school right down the road, Mount St. Michael Academy, when the Mount Vernon Neighborhood Health Center started out in 2 trailers. The community was so excited about it, how we have a place to go that wouldn't break the bank.
In 1980, we moved into this 50,000 square foot facility, and we've never stopped evolving.
Keep up the good work.
Adding more programs, sites, and a small army of devoted staff members.
How are you?
Good.
To treat the hundreds of thousands of patients who walk through our doors with care.
Check your blood pressure right now.
Respect.
So what brings you here today?
And dignity.
Breathe out.
There's nothing better you can do for a patient or somebody in need than to listen to them, and they know that you're listening and really caring about what they're saying.
Over the years, as the need for quality healthcare has grown, so have we.
We have 8 different sites. We're not just located on 4th Street and 8th Avenue. You know, we're all over Westchester. White Plains, Greenburgh, Yonkers, Valhalla in the homeless shelter.
With such a large coverage area in our 50th year, we are embarking on a number of big changes. A $12 million facelift, an upgrade and expansion of our services, and we are adopting a new name to reflect our ever-expanding vision.
We're changing the name because we need to ensure that our identity is synonymous with what we're actually doing.
From now on, our organization shall be known as the Westchester Community Health Center.
We need a name that says we are located throughout the county of Westchester, providing care to all. So the new name is all-encompassing of the range of sites and services that are offered.
Even though the name has changed,
Westchester Community Health Center is a lifeline.
Rest assured, our core mission hasn't.
It doesn't matter where we provide the health care. We just want to provide quality health care.
We've always been here, helping our neighbors get the care they need.
You gonna see the doctor right now?
Healthcare and beyond,
For me, it's awesome.
and that will never change.
We will continue to touch lives and lift the spirits throughout all of the communities that we serve for generations to come.
Yeah, Judith Watson, welcome to the Blueprint. CEO, let me get this right. Let me get it right. The Vernon Neighborhood Health Center, doing business as the Westchester Community Health Center.
He's spot on, Lo. Thank you.
Oh man, I don't want to date myself now, but I do remember as a little kid growing up in the projects over there and playing in 4th Street Playground and 7th Avenue Playground behind next to the Dole Center. When I don't even remember what was there. Maybe some bushes or something was there. I mean, I don't think anything was there. And when they came in with a couple of trailers, to start the neighborhood health center. So I'm just dating myself, I guess. But to see it go from that and then now, the neighborhood health center, and then now to continue to expand, man, I want to say congratulations to you guys. I mean, Mount Vernon deserves it, but other communities deserve it as well. So talk to me a little bit about that, the whole vision, where you're at now, currently, what's happening now. And we heard a lot of it in the video, but there's more to come. So talk a little bit about that.
Thank you so much, Lowe's, and good evening to you and to everyone out there. I am so thrilled to be on your program, The Blueprint, this evening. I'm super excited. Everyone talks and raves about this program, so now I get my turn, so I'm super excited to be here tonight. And thanks for sharing some of your experience, some of the history of the health center. So 50 years ago, right? 50 years ago, there were some folks in the community, and Carol Morris and David Ford were among those folks who came together and wanted to have a place for the folks in Mount Vernon to go to receive health care. Yes, I miss them too, Michael. They wanted a place where the residents of Mount Vernon could be treated with dignity and respect and taken care of. And so out of that was the Mount Vernon Neighborhood Health Center was born. And over the past 50 years, this organization has expanded into numerous sites located throughout the county of Westchester, right? So we're in White Plains at the Greenburgh Health Center. We have 2 homeless sites in White Plains also. We have a Yonkers Community Health Center. Most people don't know that. Right in downtown Yonkers at 30 South Broadway, we co-own that building, out of which we operate a health center, a fully comprehensive health center. And let me just back up a little bit and
Go
tell you
ahead.
what we do at the health center, right? So we're a one-stop shop for quality, comprehensive healthcare and other services, right?
Yeah.
So when you walk into any one of our health center sites, you could know that whether it be a pediatrician, an internist, an OBGYN doctor, a dentist, behavioral health care professionals. We have an adult psychiatrist, a child psychiatrist. We have licensed social workers, or any of the specialty services, right? Ophthalmology, podiatry, dermatology, neurology, x-ray. All of these services are provided at the health center, in addition to a pharmacy located at our Mount Vernon site. And everyone is seen, no one is turned away based on ability to pay or immigration status. And we are a federally qualified health center, right? Federally qualified health center. So what does that mean, right? So there are over 1,500 federally qualified health centers throughout the United States, all with multiple sites. So Mount Vernon Neighborhood Health Center, doing business as Westchester Community Health Center, is one federally qualified health center with 8 sites, actually 9 sites, and growing, right? Here in the state of New York, there are 75 of these federally qualified health centers. And the long and short of it is we get a lot of our funding from the federal government. And of course, we also raise funds, right? Lots of fundraising. We write a lot of grants, wherever we can get the money. And of course, there's revenue that's generated from patient visits, all right? So you know what we are, you know where we are. We have about 300 employees. Our budget is about $31 million. Of the 300 employees, about 70 are actual providers, right? And providers are doctors, right? Dentists, right? Who are doctors also. And mid-level providers, right? So mid-level providers are nurse practitioners and physician's assistant, who, by the way, are ruling the world these days, because now they can see patients without the oversight of a physician even. And so because there's such a shortage. But anyway, I can go on and on and on. You know who we are, you know where we're located, you know what we do. And again, we care for Westchester's most vulnerable folks.
Yeah, I mean, that's powerful. The crazy thing is that nobody knows. I mean, that's one of the things that I learned about, as the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club. Nobody knew the club existed, and that's all a part of marketing. And so having you on today, man, people will hear, right, right here in Little Old Mount Vernon, and the expansion of health services, outside of Mount Vernon. I mean, because most of the time we hear so many negative things, but we don't speak about the positive things that are going on in the city of Mount Vernon. I want to say thank you to you and all your partners and everything for providing that. And I say it was amazing to see you guys not react, but respond in regards to the pandemic. Right, because I think I got one of my shots over there. I think over there during during the pandemic as well. And yeah, I mean it was it's just awesome to know, and it's just making people aware. So because people don't even know, they just and then especially with the high cost of services and medical bills and all kinds of things like that. And look, taking in consideration, the low income areas in Mount Vernon, people have to have a place to go when they're not feeling well. And I like it in the video, right? I don't know that I've been in neighborhood health center that people weren't nice, right? And I want to say thank you to you also, because every time that we hosted something at the Boys and Girls Club, particularly on our Kids Day, you provided the mobile van or health center that comes and checking people blood pressure and all those different things like that, and talking to people and letting them know the benefits and service that is provided by you guys. So I want to say thank you for that as well.
Oh, thank you so much for saying all of that, Lowell. And I just had to, for 2 minutes, just touch a little bit on the pandemic and how important these health centers are in the communities that we serve, because we're the trusted messenger. We're the folks we're the people who the folks in the community trust, right? And so, of course, Black and brown people were dying disproportionately of COVID. And so during the pandemic, and I just have to share this, during the pandemic, the governor's office and the mayor's office decided that they wanted to erect a walk-up facility, because a lot of the people in Mount Vernon and other neighborhoods like Mount Vernon don't drive. So everyone was driving to New Rochelle to get tested, but we use public transportation, a lot of us. So we weren't driving to New Rochelle. So anyway, the governor wanted to erect this COVID walk-up testing facility, so you could walk up to get tested. And that facility stood erected until last week. We finally took it down last week after all these years. But the point is this: our folks, a lot of us weren't being vaccinated, but we would come to get tested. And the governor's office and the state, they put the funding into paying for the tent. We, the health center, staffed it, which is the most expensive part. We staffed it, they provided the tent. When everyone started getting their vaccines, they decided to pull the tents. Everyone's getting vaccinated, we're gonna pull the tents out. But the people in Mount Vernon were not getting vaccinated. So we felt strongly that we needed to keep the tents. And we did keep the tents. And Lowell, I have to tell you, Omicron hit, and we were the only place in town for people to come to get tested. People were coming from all over to Mount Vernon Health Center, now Westchester Community Health Center, to get tested, because we know our community. We knew that they weren't getting vaccinated, but they would come to get tested. So everyone else in the state was getting vaccinated, but our people weren't getting vaccinated. So we kept our tents and we saved the community when the Omicron variant came that no one expected. So we know the community, and we're there for our community, always and forever.
Yeah, and I got my vaccinations at in Greenburgh, the Greenburgh Community Health Center. Me, my son, I think my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, we all, we had the ability to get up there and get it done, because that was one of the sites. It was like, okay, yeah, let's go, let's get it done.
Yeah. We're really proud of it. We have an amazing team, amazing.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about when you go back in like a little bit in history and the city of Mount Vernon, talk about, because there was a moment, right? There was a moment and a lot of talk at one time. We don't need the health center. We don't need the community health center. We should shut it down. I mean, how did you manage to get past that? Because that was a difficult time. So how did you get past that to get to where you are now?
We basically just stayed the course through any and all controversy. We just continued to stay the course, because on a given day, we get approximately 800 people who come through that health center every day, every single day, and it's hard to imagine, right? But there are that many people who come through the health center every day, whether they use it our pharmacy. And let me say that in addition to the medical services that I talked about, medical services, behavioral health care services, dental services, we also offer what's called enabling services, right? And I'm going to answer your question.
Hold on 1 second. I think we have I don't know what, you got kind of, say something again.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's kind of like got like a buzzing sound. I mean, technology ain't perfect, but
I'm gonna keep. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's got like a little buzzing sound in it. Um,
And I don't hear anything at all. It sounds clear to me.
it sounds clear to you.
It does. You
Yeah.
sound clear. I don't hear an echo or
All
anything.
right. Let me check.
Okay. Oh, wow.
What was the question? What was the comment?
I was a health center kid. My mom worked here for 18 years. She started when the health center was 3 trails on 7th Avenue. I lived in the projects next to the health center. Everyone has a health center story. I haven't, and thank you, Kevin, for sharing that. I haven't met anyone in the city of Mount Vernon who doesn't have a story about the impact that that health center has had. Do you still hear that sound, Mom?
Yeah, I think you may need to log off and come back in.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll hold the fort while you Yeah, I think everybody Kevin, thanks for your comments. I mean, I think everybody is aware of the Mount Vernon Neighborhood Health Center. Um, I, but I have to say this, even though we know it exists in the city of Mount Vernon, sometimes we don't know the service it provides, right? And who and what services or what the individual services or individuals we provide it for. Because we just think sometimes it's just for like, low income people and so forth and so on. But the services are for everybody, right? That need help. So, yeah, now that you have become aware of the Neighborhood Health Center or the Westchester Community Health Center, yeah, make sure y'all, come up, stop by. So you back? You
I'm
good
back.
now?
Is it better? Does that
Yes,
sound
it
better?
is. Much better. Much better.
Oh,
Yes,
good. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So yeah, Britt, you were talking about before that. You know my question, but you was talking about something before that.
Right. So the question was, how did we get past any other controversy? And
Mm-hmm.
basically, we just push forward and just do what we do every day, regardless of anything. What makes us unique at the health center is that there's this thing that everyone's talking about, the social determinants of health, right? The social
Mm-hmm.
determinants of health, and these are factors that exist within your environment where you live, work, play, worship, where you get your education, right? There are these factors that contribute to your health. And so they are the social determinants of health. And one of the issues is food, for example, food, right? We provide food for our patients. We have food pantries. Um, Access is another issue that impacts the social determinants of health. We provide transportation, right? So, food, transportation. We have representatives on site from the health plans who can get you insurance, right? So, if a person walks into the health center, they don't have insurance, we have representatives on site from all of the health plans who can get them enrolled into one of the health insurance plans. We also have our own dedicated team of Obamacare, aka the Affordable Care Act. So we have a team there that's dedicated to getting you insurance. So again, what sets us apart from, say, a private practice, a private doctor's office, are these enabling services that we offer that help to address the social determinants of health, right? And so that's what we do. And in response to your question, Lowell, we, controversy aside, we shut all of the noise out, right? And we dedicate to our patients and our staff, and we push forward. That's how we got through that controversy and any subsequent controversy that may come our way.
Yeah, I mean, you did it. I mean, no question about that. Yeah. And I got a question. I want to divert. Um, I got a question for you in regards to digress. I want to digress for a minute and talk about like how. I mean, when you think about this, I was thinking about this in my head as one of the questions, and that's important. I mean, how did you get here? Talk a little bit about family? Who put this in you? You know, talk a little bit about family growing up, the importance of family. Talk about uh, the importance of education and and the importance of faith and how that all played in that caused for you to become who you are.
Oh, Lowell, that's second only to talking about the health centers to telling you a little bit about my path, which was an unconventional one. In that, so I was born in Jamaica, and my folks migrated to White Plains, which is where I grew up. So I joined them here at age 7,
I'm gonna
and
hold that against you.
it did. And it was a different time. It was a different time. It was the late 60s, early 70s, and it wasn't, Jamaicans were not, it wasn't what it is today. Okay. There was a lot of teasing. Okay. A lot of teasing. And it wasn't a comfortable place. And there weren't a lot of Jamaicans here in White Plains, which is where I still reside, by the way. And so I was a victim of bullying, and then when you're bullied, then you become a bully because that's the only way to defend yourself. And I just had tumultuous years. My teens were tumultuous. I was thrown out of high school. I was a hot mess, and it wasn't because I didn't have discipline at home. My mother was a staunch disciplinarian, a woman of faith, staunch disciplinarian. She and my dad divorced, and so my teenage years were tumultuous, to say the least. Long and short of it, after high school, I went into the Army because I certainly wasn't ready for college. So I went and joined the Army. I was stationed in Hawaii for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, it was amazing, and I feel so grateful that I was able to give back to a country that had given so much. This is a great country, no, regardless of what. This is a great country, and I was happy to be one who didn't just take from this country, but gave back to this country. Um, a part of what this country gave me and my family, and so I served for 3 years, and those years helped me in a way that it's hard for me to even articulate to you, but long and short of it is after the 3 years is I then was mature enough to enroll in a nursing program at Pace and became an RN, struggling, failed my RN boards. And I tell kids this all the time. You know, failure is the best part of you. When you fail, adversity, painful things, these things are the things that make you stronger. Not when everything's going your way and life is great. It's the adversity in life that makes you stronger and helps you build character. And so failed my RN boards a few times, but eventually I eventually passed those boards. But I landed at my mother's a nursing assistant, still is to this day. She's been working at the same place for almost 50 years. And my mother, I guess I just followed her footsteps in terms of healthcare. It's not what I did in the Army. I worked in supply, but decided I wanted to become a nurse. My mother helped guide me through that. And I landed at the health center through an agency. It was a temp position, right? Because I'm a woman of faith, and I believe that our paths are laid out for us, right? Before we ever even get here, it's laid out, right? So I landed at the then Greenburgh Health Center, one of our sites, and as a temp, and I just loved it. I just loved working as a nurse at the health center. I loved caring for people. I enjoyed working with my coworkers, and I just fell in love with it. And I have to tell you, Lowell, it was as though I was always in the right place at the right time when the opportunities presented themselves. You know, and it's divine intervention. When the CEO of the Greenburgh Health Center retired, Carol Morris, mentor and friend and surrogate mother to me, she said, "Why don't you become the executive director of the Greenburgh Health Center site?" And I said, I don't have any administrative, you know, I don't have any administrative skills. Yeah, Carol Morris, may she rest in peace. We just buried her a few months ago. And so I said, okay, I'll try it. And it turns out that I liked it, and it worked out perfectly fine. And so I did that, and that's where I was before I came to Mount Vernon, right? So I just met you all in 2019, and I met your amazing wife, and congratulations to her, by the way, with becoming an assistant minister.
Pastor, yeah.
Yeah, pastor. I didn't know about that ceremony, but please send me an invitation. I'd love to be there. She was one of the first people who I met in Mount Vernon who embraced me, and I love her a lot. And so Carol Morris, she she retired in 2016, and the board of directors, who governs the health center, by the way, that's who owns and operates the health center, is the board of directors. They hire the CEO, and the CEO works for the board of directors. They said,
Yes.
you're comfortable there up in Greenburgh. You've been there almost 30 years. We need you down in Mount Vernon. Carol Morris is retiring. Come on down. And the rest is history. Here I am. For the past 4 years, I came down right before COVID again. Patrice was one of the first people to welcome me to the city of Mount Vernon, and everyone has welcomed me with open arms. And so it's easy for me to be at the helm of this organization that provides health care to everyone, regardless of ability to pay or immigration status. My vision for the organization is that when you walk into any one of our health center sites, you receive the same health care that you, Lowell, may receive when you walk into your private doctor's office. I believe that our patients, uninsured, undocumented, should receive the same quality care. And so that is my story, and that is what drives me, and that is my vision for our organization.
Yeah. No, that's impressive too. And again, when I was thinking about what I was going to do after I finished playing basketball, right? I didn't really know what I was going to do, and one of the things I was looking at, I thought I would be good for school. Be able to give back to young people and students and stuff like that. That was one of the things I looked at, whether it be coaching or in the classroom or what. That's something I was looking at. And then when I got a call, for one of my mentors about the executive director position at the Boys and Girls Club, I was like, wow, that sounds like something I need to look into, because man, if it wasn't for the club, where would I be? Right. And then now that it was in trouble, having some trouble, and I get to go back and serve, to go and give back and hopefully help, make some changes and some turnaround, because Mount Vernon, Mount Vernon needs the neighborhood health center, or now the health center, Westchester Health Center, Community Health Center, and it needs a Boys and Girls Club. I mean, it needs our school district. I mean, it needs our youth bureaus and recreation departments. I mean, it needs all of it. That's what makes us whole, as a community, to have those things. So, yeah, I'm always excited that when people, particularly people who are hurting, right, have a place to go, right, and not turned away. I mean, that's to me, that's one of the most powerful things. And every organization that's in Mount Vernon or White Plains or Greenburgh, they should know, and all the other sites that you have, they should know that you exist. And particularly in our churches and organizations where we deal with people who, a large percentage of them are low income, for our churches or our community organizations to be able to say, hey, if I'm having a problem, in terms of my health or dental or eyes or whatever it is, you have a place right there around the corner, I mean, that you could go to, so, yeah. And a lot of people just don't know.
Lowe's, before you continue, I have to say that it was divine intervention. I mean, every kid in America aspires to be, and I hope I'm not being inappropriate here, but every black kid in America aspires to be a basketball player, and you actually were a professional basketball player. It's the fact that I'm even having a conversation with you is still, it's hard for me to really wrap my arms around, but you achieved that, and you didn't just stop there, right? So you came and you gave back to the community, right? And you're still giving back to the community and to those kids. To your point, you wouldn't be where you are had it not been for Boys and Girls Club. And so I feel it's all divine intervention. Before you were born, that was going to be your story. That was going to be your life. And thank God. And a lot of people are better for it. So
Uh,
thank you.
well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I always tell kids, man, and I said it in my book. All of us are born with a purpose, and with the purpose comes gifts, and with the gifts comes assignments,
Hmm.
right? And so when you find your purpose, right, then God has gifts to impact your purpose or to use that purpose, and then He has places where you need to go. You need to be in that place. You need to be in that assignment. So, the thing was, I didn't go to college to go into business or non for profit, right? But I got a degree in communications, right? And so from that, I had to learn. I mean, I had to learn to make adjustments that would benefit the organization. But the same desire that I had for playing sports, the thing that made me who I was, and who I still who I am is I was always trying to figure it out. Of course, we all are afraid of challenges sometimes, but we want to be successful, so you figure it out. You get in there and you start to research. And I'll tell you perfect, this is not about me, but I tell you, I got a chance to, when I was at the end of my career playing, I got a call from Phil Jackson, who coached me earlier when I was in the NBA and also in the CBA semi-pro. And he said he wanted to bring me in to interview as assistant coach for the Chicago Bulls when he got the job. For me, my first thought was, right, because we don't have what we're talking on now. We didn't have laptops, and only thing we had probably encyclopedias or go to the library, right? So so I went to the library and in Mount Vernon, and I researched the Chicago Bulls. I knew when I went to the interview, I knew about the history of Chicago Bulls, when they started, about the city, right? Because when you take on something, right, and you may not think you're qualified to do it, but when somebody says, I want you to do this, like, you didn't really know. When you say, okay, we want you to take over and be the CEO or the executive director, you don't know. I didn't know, right? But I did the research. I became a student, right? And I've done the research of what it would actually take. Where did Chicago Bulls come from? When did it start? Who were the players? Who were the coaches? And so that I would be ready for anything when I went into the interview. Of course, I didn't get the position, but the point is that if somebody says you can do something, hey, I think you ought to do that. Your job is to research what that is, become a student of it, and then go on and do it. And I'm excited that you took that on. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I know as a CEO, as an executive director, most of us get college degrees, but we've never had experience in it.
Right.
Right. And so if somebody don't give you an opportunity, you will never get the experience.
Right.
Right. And for Black and brown people, we don't often get a lot of opportunities to become administrators, executive directors.
Right.
In the whole National Boys and Girls Club movement, it was only a few of us as executives. Now, we were part-time people, we were program people, but man, we were not administrators or executives. So I had to really do a lot of work to become an executive director of a Boys and Girls Club. But I put in the
Wow.
work. Yeah.
Wow. It's a similar thing with the health centers. Although the 75 health centers in the state of New York care for predominantly Black and Hispanic people, there are only 3 or 4 Black CEOs. And so I intend to carry on the legacy of Carol Morris. She felt very strongly that she wanted to put Black people in positions of authority. And so I too followed to follow her legacy with regard to that. You know, we have a Black chief medical officer, a Black chief financial officer, and so yeah, I think it is incumbent on us to provide opportunities for other Black and Hispanic people.
Yeah, and let me say this: it's not wrong, right? When you say, okay, I like to see more Black, and brown and Hispanic administrators or executives. I mean, no matter what the culture is, right? We all want to see more of us in those positions. You know, I mean, you can go back into the time where, maybe in the Jewish community, they probably at one time we wanted to be more lawyers, we wanted to be more administrators. They didn't sit around and say complain about it. They just say, okay, let's start educating ourselves. Let's start getting the education. Let's find ourselves in these positions. Regardless of the culture, every culture we all want the same thing. We want to see our culture in positions of authority, right? And we want to see them become successful. That's all we're saying. I mean, the numbers are so distant in regards to how many Black owners there are in sports, in the world of sports. How many Black presidents of how many Black owners, right? And I remember telling the kids when I go to the elementary school, I said when I was in sixth grade, I wanted to play in the NBA, right? In the sixth grade, I researched it. I wanted to play for the New York Knicks. I wanted NBA. I had to research that, right? And then I asked them a question: if I was in the sixth grade now, who would I want to be? What would I want to be? They say, you want to be a rapper. They start saying, oh, you want to play in the NBA? Nah, I want to own an NBA team.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, my awareness then was to play, right? My awareness now is to own it. Right. It's a different mindset. So when a kid says, I want to work for GameStop, I looked at my wife. I said, what? Don't you mean you want to own GameStop? I mean, it's just a different mindset.
Right.
Yeah. So, but man, when you were talking about your mom, man, I was like, wow. And she's still going, yeah, right?
It's amazing. My mother's 73. She still works as a nursing assistant at the same hospital for the past 50 years. And so I have an amazing role model in her. We're extremely close, and she's really my hero. And not just in I'm a daughter speaking of my mother type of way. We're tight, inseparable.
Okay. So before we go further, you heard me speak about earlier about this month being Cancer Awareness Month. And so talk a little bit about in terms of, I know you guys do this all year round, but this is the the time we make for breast cancer awareness and some of the things that you guys might be doing that people need to be aware of.
Absolutely. So what we do at the health center is preventive care or preventative care, right? So in Jamaica, they have a saying, and I grew up hearing my mother saying it, not knowing that this would become my life, is prevention is better than having it to cure. And I thought, oh, this is just some old backwards Jamaican saying that she's come up with, not knowing that this would in fact become my life. So it's better to prevent something than it developing it into something that now you have to figure out how to cure it, right? That's the translation to that. But what we do at the health center is preventative care, right? So we do screenings for cancer year round. And what does that look like on the ground? For example, in OBGYN, we do cervical cancer screening. We do breast cancer screening, right? Whether it be the physical examination, referring patients for ultrasounds and, whatever other tests are needed. We do the screenings for cancer year round as a part of your annual checkup. So if you're a woman, you're coming into our OBGYN department annually, you're going to have a pap smear, which is a test for cervical cancer, and you're going to have the breast exam. In internal medicine, we're going to screen for prostate cancer, right? Prostate cancer. We're going to also screen for rectal cancer as a part of your annual exam and as needed, but definitely annually, right? So again, lots of screening. In pediatrics, we're administering vaccines, right? Bringing the children up to date with their vaccines. That's preventative, right? In dental, we're going to do cleaning, right? Preventative. That is what our focus is at the health center, is preventative care. But as it relates specifically to breast cancer, again, we'll do the screenings and refer the patients out and manage them. Early detection is the key with breast cancer. And I can tell you, as a breast cancer survivor myself, I had a double mastectomy about 7 years ago. I had a very small cancer that had developed, and my mom had it too. No one else in the family, just my mother and I. And I saw what she went through, and I just opted to have I went radical. I just did a double mastectomy, and I got 2 implants, and the rest really is history. And so if you're out there and you're listening and you don't have a medical home, you need to come out to any one of our sites. If you're in White Plains, you can go to our Greenburgh site. Mount Vernon, you come to our Mount Vernon site. Yonkers, you go to that site, and ensure that you're getting your screenings. Black people are dying at double the rate, and in some instances, 3 times the rate of our white counterparts. Why? Because we're not going for our screenings where we can detect these cancers early. I would go every year for my mammogram, and they'd always send me for an ultrasound. It would always be complicated. But I went every year, and it was caught so early that it hadn't spread or metastasized. It was in one spot. And again, I opted to do the mastectomy. So come to the health center, get your screenings for all of the cancers.
Yeah, that's good.
Catch it early.
Yeah, early,
If
definitely.
it is to be, you catch it early.
And I'll tell you, it's yeah, there's always fear in it. I mean, I had a recent annual physical, and they were like, "Hey, you want me to do the whole thing on the prostate?" Oh, well, yeah, go ahead and do that. Because yeah, you just don't want, you don't want any surprises, and then can you talk real and as a part of that preventative, the screening and stuff, but talk about because you probably heard me talk about some things earlier about health in regards to how important spiritual health is, right? Talk a little bit about the mental side of health, and then some things in regards to the physical, around not only the physical workout, but also what we eat.
So at the health center, we care for patients in a way that is holistic in nature, right?
Love the word.
So whether it be the physical health that we've talked about previously tonight, or the mental health, right? Again, we have licensed social workers, so we're providing counseling, medication. We care for the mental health of our patients in addition to the physical health. And I'm going to get to the food lows. But with regard to the spiritual health, we of course encourage that. And we can go on for many hours talking about spiritual health. And basically, it's that there is a power that's greater than us, right? And some people choose to call that power God. I choose to call that power God. Lowe's, I suspect that you and your family too choose to call it God. But there are other people who believe in a power that's greater than themselves that they don't call God. And I say that that's okay, so long as we know that there's a power that's greater than us. This is the spiritual, right? There's a power that's greater than ourselves, and we can call it whatever we choose to call it, you know? And so we encourage the spiritual aspect, and it's really our behavioral healthcare team that focuses on that, whether it be via groups, right? Whether it be via group therapy or individual one-on-one therapy. It's our behavioral healthcare team that leads that, but the entire team gets involved. Now, as it relates to food, we're of the opinion that food is health, okay? Food is medicine. I'm sorry, not health. Food is medicine. So until we start looking at food the way we start looking at our medication, right? We're not going to make a lot of progress, right? What we put into our bodies, okay? And I don't want to get too granular or too into the weeds with regard to this, but what we put into our bodies is as important as anything else that we can do, right? There are foods that helps with digestion. There are foods that help with vision, carrots, for example, as an example, right? There are foods that help our blood flow. We have to begin as a community, we have to begin to look at food as actual medicine, as opposed to just, something that we need to survive, right? We have to eat, we need sustenance to eat, to survive. Food is medicine. And until we start looking at that, and by the way, we do have nutritionists at the health center as well. I don't think I mentioned that. There isn't anything that we don't have or that we don't do at the health center. And for those things that we don't, we certainly have referral agreements in place where we refer patients and then bring them back, because we're their medical home. It's not just, you don't just walk into the health center. You're a registered patient. You have an assigned primary care doctor, just as anyone else out there does. But again, until we start looking at food as medicine, we're going to be stuck in this disproportionate impact. We're disproportionately impacted with all of these medical conditions. Until we start looking at food as medicine, we're not going to make a lot of progress. And so that's what we try to instill in our patients. That was a long answer to your question, Mo.
Yeah, but I mean, I wanted, it was okay to be long, right? Because I was picking up something in CVS, and I mean, if you could only see the line of people who were getting bags and bags and bottles of medication, and it's like they're living off medication, right, just to survive. And that's why the long answer is good, right? Because and then to know the importance and power of food. Right. And becoming a student of what's good and what's not.
Indeed.
Yeah. So
we have to pay a lot more attention to food. And just as we do exercise, I think everyone knows now we need to walk and we need to exercise. We need to pay attention to what we're eating.
Yeah. No, that's good. So what does it look like? I mean, as you envision the future of, where you are and what the health center, now the Westchester Community Health Center, what do you envision? It looks like in the video you guys, started on some larger projects and stuff like that. Where do you see this going?
So the possibilities are limitless with regard to where we're headed. But for 2024, we are focused. We're laser focused on, and I see that you're going to have the interim superintendent on the 22nd. We're focused on expanding our school-based health center programs in the city of Mount Vernon. And so currently we have a school-based health center in the Mount Vernon High School and also at the Edward Williams School. And so we are establishing school-based health center in the Hamilton School, the Graham School, and also the Rebecca Turner Academy now. It's Rebecca Turner Academy,
Okay.
which will be serving kids in Rebecca Turner and also Benjamin Turner. So that will be one school-based health center for two. And what is the school-based health center? It's the doctor on site. I was actually out last night and I shared this with some folks. They're like, what is the school-based health center? It's your doctor on site at the school. So think about when you bring your kids to see the pediatrician. It's the pediatrician on site at the school all day long. And so the kids get registered. Of course, the parents, everyone has to give consent. The parent has to get the kids registered and give us permission and authorization to see the kids. But what happens when you have a school-based health center on site at the school is parents don't end up having to leave work to come and pick the kids up because they could be seen by their doctor downstairs at the health center or down the hall, wherever it's located. So they're treated and sent back to class, right? So absenteeism has decreased. Parents having to leave work to go and pick the kids up have decreased because they've been stabilized downstairs while seeing their healthcare provider. And it's usually a nurse practitioner, by the way, and a pediatrician who oversees the whole program. But it's usually, so it's basically their doctor on site at the school. And so we're expanding our programs in 2024. That's what's going on in 2024. You're going to see we have two mobile units now. You're going to see them both deployed throughout the county of Westchester because we need to bring the care to the people where they are, right? No longer are you going to erect a facility and expect folks to come to that facility. I think we've learned over the past several years that you have to bring the care to the people. And so that is our focus for 2024.
Right. I like that. Bring the care to the people. It was a guy, I can't remember his name, man. He used to always say, man, part of it, I guess he ran for a bunch of different things, man. But he was known as giving the people what they want. I mean, that was his slogan, giving the people what they want.
He was ahead of his time, that guy.
He was. He was ahead of his time, man. and it was interesting. I want to get your thoughts on this. And I shared it the other evening, and I also shared it with my wife too. For me, it was disturbing. I was sitting waiting for a haircut in my car in the parking lot over there by Seatown. You know what Seatown is?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's the bus stop, right? And of course there was a number of people out there. They seem to be homeless, or they're always out there. Most of the time, they're always out there, and they're always talking and yelling, and they're right at the public bus stop where people are getting off and stuff like that. It would bother me if I'm trying to get on the bus or get off the bus, but women out there, they're drinking. Liquor bottles out there, they're drinking, and I was thinking like, wow, man, this is not good. But we have them, and it's everywhere. So, but the thing that I was alarmed about was that I was going to get my hair cut. I was walking up towards McDonald's. I think that's Prospect right there. And as I was walking, school had let out. I would assume they're high school kids. They're right at McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts, and they hovered there. Hundreds of kids. And probably about 25 or 30 of them, and they stand on the corner side of McDonald's, and everybody's getting ready to light up some weed. Right? And I'm thinking like, wow, this can't be good. That these high school kids are out here just smoking weed. I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, as young people, we want our young people to grow up to be healthy and they're gifted. Like you probably would say they have divine purpose. What can we do in regards to these young people and their health? Because I seen in my vision, I seen them graduating from McDonald's and going to the bus stop. It was just a weird feeling, right? And I was just thinking, like, if my kid was out there, there's somebody's kid out there, smoking weed and thinking that this is what life is. So can you give your thoughts on some of the, how do we prevent these things? How do we intervene in these situations, and particularly with kids like that?
You know, I get your concern. I identify with your concern, especially of late with this marijuana.
I think your sound came back. I don't know what it is. It just came out of nowhere, but
Yeah. Can you hear me?
yeah, it's kind of vibrating a little bit there.
Oh,
I don't know if you have to go and come back in again, but
I'm happy to do that.
yeah,
Right now.
technology not perfect, but yeah. I mean, this is interactive, so if you guys have any thoughts out there, any comments or questions, for Judith, feel free to do so. Yeah, this was a concern with me, the whole that we are now legalizing marijuana. I mean, and then to see these young people just out there just smoking weed right after they've come out of school, man, they just left school. I don't know if they were doing it before school or during school. I just know it was a problem when I grew up, and a lot of my friends got caught up in that whole between alcohol and drugs, marijuana growing up, man. It was, and for a lot of them, it wasn't good, to get and maybe we should do something on the power of addiction, because that's what happens. You start somewhere, right? In terms of addiction, you start somewhere and you end up someplace else. And I just felt like it bothered me a lot, man, to see 25 kids hovering around, you know, doing weed or doing a joint, or we say back in the day, and then lighting up on the streets, here in the city of Mount Vernon. And that's a a very impactful area where they are. So yeah, I mean, I don't know your thoughts or comments on the whole thing. I don't think I can go anywhere. I mean, they legalized it, but I don't think you can go anywhere without smelling some weed, man. I mean, every car you trying to walk, it's coming out the car, it's coming out the house, it's coming out everywhere. But and I'm not against anybody can do what they like. You can drink what they like, smoke what they like, do whatever they want. But I just see it as a problem, particularly for young people. So that's just my opinion. But
Can
yes, so yeah,
hmm
I
So,
can hear you. Yeah,
thank you. Listen, Lowe's.
we got a bunch of pictures up here. You're gonna see them pop up here. So
Oh, that's our golf outing. Yeah, that was a lot of
yeah.
fun. Those are great pictures. All right, all right. Oh, wow, wow. Okay, all right. That was our COVID listening session. But with regard to the marijuana, here's all as a society. Here's the single most important thing that we can do as a society is we've got to start young. We've got to start with the babies. We've got to start educating them when they're in kindergarten, preschool, and we have to follow them through. It's almost like the train has gone out. I don't know how they say that, but the train is gone out of the yard. It's so out of control, and obviously we do the best that we can. We have educational sessions, counseling sessions, we get the behavioral health care team folks involved, lots and lots of education sessions. There's so much that we as a healthcare facility and as a society, there's so much that we can do. But I think the single most important thing we can do is to get the babies, start educating them as young as we can.
Yeah. But I know that's the preventative side of it. And then I think the other side is that, uh, man, like well, you said the train has left the station. I say the train is off the track. I mean,
Indeed.
yeah, it's off the track, and the question is, how do we intervene, because they're still human beings, and how do we say to somebody, man? Because I got some friends, man, whose kids are just totally out of control right now, when it comes to marijuana or alcohol. And they're young. You know, they're young people, and they think they're grown. You know, and they're not really listening to, I mean, the stories of their own parents. You know, like, hey, I've been through this. This not right. You know, and they just feel like you can't tell them what to do. So yeah, I mean, for me, it just bothered me. It bothers me.
You know, I'm so happy, Lowe's. I'm so happy that you said that because as one of those kids myself, I guess the other thing is just don't give up on them. That I guess that's what it was for me. Don't give up on them. I mean, send them into the military as I went in. I don't know, send them to the army. But I guess just don't give up on them because I was one of those kids. I have to tell you, I have to be honest. I was one of those kids, and my mother, she didn't give up on me, and it all worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely one of those kids.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about, you got the 50th anniversary, because I remember when I don't know if I was around when we, now I don't think I was at the Boys and Girls Club when we celebrated 50, but I was really excited when it was a measuring stick for me on where we needed to go and where I thought the Boys and Girls Club needed to be when we finally celebrated our 100th anniversary.
Wow.
Right. And so that was a measuring stick. So everything was predicated from board development to all facility, all those things was predicated on what will we look at, like 25 years from now. I mean, 20 years from now when we celebrate our 100th year anniversary, which was, the club started in 1912. So what, 2012, 100th anniversary, where did I see the club? Right. So you're celebrating 50 years. Right. I'm thinking about, like, dang, I was there when it started. The little mobile things was there.
Exactly. Talk about humble beginnings, right?
Yeah, definitely. That was shooting ball across the street,
Wow.
Hey,
Wow.
talking about, man, why they making all that dust over there and that noise?
Yes, yes, yes. From whence we come, I tell you. So, yes, we are celebrating 50 years of existence and 50 years of providing these services here in the county of Westchester. Right now, we have about 20,000 patients and about 150,000 visits per year. It's such a busy place. But we're celebrating on December 6th, and you are all invited. I want to see you and the entire family, including the 3 grandkids. I want the other 2, and the 2. Yes. The 2 god kids as well. So we're celebrating on Wednesday, December 6th at Glen Island Harbor Club. And it's going to be an amazing evening with amazing friends, just reminiscing from whence we come and where we're headed, and just to celebrate all that we've accomplished. So we're hoping to see everyone come out to our 50th anniversary gala.
Yeah, and the Glen Island Harbor Club is a nice place.
It is really good food.
Yeah. I think my daughter, I think that's where she got married at. I think I did. Yeah, I think they over a year now.
It's a big wedding destination. Yes.
Yeah. So before we get off, I mean, we got a couple more minutes. Before we get off, I'm gonna try to see if my wife will come on. She got any comments or questions? Because she welcomed you, and she was like, she sowed the seed. Yeah, you got to get Judith on the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Patrice, for looking out for Judith. She was one of the first people to welcome me to the city of Mount Vernon, and I love her so much. She's an amazing human being.
I don't know where she's at. Where you at, babe? Don't even try it.
I'm right here.
Well,
Hey,
hello.
Judith. How are you, love?
You're the lovely Patrice. I love this woman so much, and I love your love. I love your love, the two of you, and the way you all love. I stalk you all on Facebook.
Well, it's really when I met you, and I'm almost sure there was something going on at the Denzel Washington School.
Yes.
I think they would. I don't know what it was, but after it was over with, I was walking outside, and I think it was Paul
Good.
Hood from Greenburgh, and he introduced us. And
Yes.
from that
I
point
remember
on,
that too. I do remember that.
yeah, from that point on, we stayed connected, and we really tried. And I have to shout Judith out because I think during the pandemic, she lost, I think, two staff that were substance abuse counselors,
Yes.
and so there was a deficit in the services provided for those people who are struggling with addictions, and we connected, and Arms Acres actually put Randall George in the neighborhood health center
Yes.
to
Want them back.
for our brother-in-law to kind of come over there, and he did it. He really enjoyed it. It was like around the corner from his house. Then he's promptly moved to North Carolina now in retirement as well. But he, it was really great because it was the first time like a for-profit program connected with an FQHC to provide services for them. And I don't think we really maximized that relationship the way we really should have. I think the pandemic kept us so far on our toes. We were constantly adjusting, readjusting, but to Judith's credit, her grace in class just far supersedes so many, and I've had the privilege of just being able to call a friend, and so I'm excited about the work you're doing, the expansion. You're a visionary, and I love it. And one of the things you had said to us a while ago is that you wanted the neighborhood health center to be the place that people go to for services, and not to look askance at it and say, I'm not going over there. It was funny. I think I looked up recently. I was looking for a dermatologist, and I saw it. It's like, oh, the neighborhood health center, but I couldn't get an appointment because they were so hard. They're so hard to get appointments. So I ended up trying to find a place that's like 5 minutes from my job. But, but that says a lot. No, actually, I couldn't get an appointment because the dermatologist was no longer there. That's what it was. They were no longer there. And but I want you to know I did try to go to the neighborhood health center to get that service. So
onboarding, so Go
oh,
ahead.
good to know. So it was, but it's great work, and like Lo said, we really relied on you during the pandemic. I mean, our kids came over to get, to get shots and things like that. And so, shout out to you and your great work that you and your team have been doing. I've had an opportunity to meet quite a few of your team and leadership, and I was really impressed with the work they do. So thank you. Thank you for being a light. Thank you for letting, sometimes we can be a light, but we don't let it shine. But, the scripture tells us, what's the point of having a light and hiding it under a bushel? You've got to let the light shine, and you so much let your light shine. And so I'm grateful that I have an opportunity to see your light. You're a lighthouse in a dark place, where there's a lot of things going on. There was rough times, but you made the neighborhood health center a lighthouse to many of us in our community. Whether it's called the Mount Vernon Neighborhood Health Center, the Westchester Community Health Center, what's most important is it's still here. Right. The Mount Vernon Hospital, they tried to remove it out of the community. But you're not saying, oh, we're changing the name and we're moving it. You're leaving it right here. I don't care if it's called Jack in the Box, as long as the services are still being provided.
That's right.
That's what's most important. And not only are the services being provided, but the services have been expanded. So shout out to you and your leadership and the great work that you and the Neighborhood Health Center team have done for the Mount Vernon community.
Do you see why I love this woman? Do you see why I love her? Thank you so much, Patrice, and right back at you. Kudos to you. Right back at you.
Well, Judith, I want to say thank you. Kevin said he can't wait.
Yay, Kevin!
Yeah. Lowe's and I will be there, so yes, we will be there.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know about them grandkids because we won't have any fun. So they're on their
working.
They're on their own.
we'll be working then if they did.
So we will have a good time. Thank you all so much.
You're welcome, man. Yeah, thank you, Judith.
Thank you.
I'm going to post in a couple of seconds. What I'm going to do is post the QR code for the tickets. People, if you are watching this and you log on to this QR code, you can purchase your tickets directly for the Neighborhood Health Center. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we try to get our tickets early so that we can be a support. And if you can't afford a ticket, make a donation. You know, none the same. Make a donation. So all you got to do is take a picture with your phone of this scan, and hopefully when you do, you'll be able to pick up the Neighborhood Health Center website and be able to purchase a ticket directly from the Neighborhood Health Center. So that's what we want to do. We want to support, you know, and you know, as Lowe's has said previously, we need to support our own, right? You know, if we want something, we can't complain about something not being in the community and we not support what's in the community. Right? Mm-hmm. And so people will look at it and say, it's $250. I can't afford $250. But you can put, you know, $25 away until you get to your $250. You know, do whatever it is that you have to do. And you know what? I know something about Judith Watson. Let me tell you what I know, Lowe's. Really, if it came down to it and you really needed to be there and you were struggling, there would be somebody out there that would make a donation to the Neighborhood Health Center for those people who couldn't afford it to be able to go. But I wasn't the one to say that. I'm just saying that, you know, if you really wanted to go, there's somebody out there that's buying tables and doing things like that to make donations for the Neighborhood Health Center. So let's come out to support it and support Judith, because that's my friend, you guys.
Oh,
that's all right. Yeah. That's my friend too.
Yes, that's right, Will. Yeah. You were amazing. Really.
So, Judith, I want to say thank you. I'm about to close out here. I want to say thank you for coming on. I truly enjoyed it. I learned a lot. You know, this was awesome. And as we show a few more pictures, I want to say to everyone out there that supports the Blueprint podcast, I want to say thank you very much, man. I love you guys. God bless you, man. I look forward to seeing you next week. We had the acting superintendent on the show next week, and as I say each and every week, if God allow you to wake up tomorrow, make tomorrow your masterpiece. God bless you and good night.
God bless you. Thanks, everyone. Good night. Thanks so much, Lo. This was amazing.
You're welcome.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.